What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hold the Phone podcast. I'm your host, Alex. I'm joined by my host, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm great after the game on Saturday.
I bet he's referring to the Virginia game, if any of y'all were wondering. All right, so I guess we can hop right into the NFL news for this week, Ryan. You can take that one away.
All right, absolutely. Well, first off, happy April Fool's Day. And for everyone celebrating, you obviously might have seen Tom Brady's first tweet ever. He joined Twitter just to troll us on Twitter saying that he was going to retire, only to follow it with a nice big April Fool's. Kind of ruined my morning as a Bills fan. I got really excited. I thought this was the end of the Patriots dynasty, but it was just a cruel joke by the man that's been the cause of my sadness for my entire life.
That one didn't get me, but speaking of the April Fools, I saw a lot of people think that the Julio Jones trade was real. Did you see that one?
Oh, I didn't actually. Tell me about it.
It was the somebody tweeted out that the 49ers had traded the second overall pick, Matt Breida, and Marquise Goodwin for Julio Jones. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter thinking that it was real until they realized it was April Fool's Day.
Tell me why that would be a really good trade, though, for both sides.
I don't know. I feel like the second overall pick and Marquise Goodwin and Breida would probably be too much for a 30-year-old Julio Jones who is coming up on a contract. But
I agree. San Francisco would definitely be overpaying in that situation, but that would fill a lot of Atlanta's needs, and that would be really nice to see an offense with Julio Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Kittle in there. That'd be super fun to watch.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. But that's just a hypothetical trade. I guess we can hop into the trades that happened this week if you want.
Yeah, we had a few. Shortly after we talked to you guys on Monday, we saw the Miami Dolphins trade Robert Quinn to the Dallas Cowboys, obviously filling the hole of the suspended Randy Gregory. I don't know if that adds any pressure to DeMarcus Lawrence trying to get a contract done with him, but what do you think about it, Alex?
I mean, they didn't really give up a whole lot. They gave up a 6th-round pick, which makes sense. And, yeah, like you said, it fills a void, especially seeing how DeMarcus Lawrence turned down a 6-year, $20 million contract because he wants $22 million, which I think is a little ridiculous. Like, good for you, get your money. But if the Cowboys give him that, that's crazy, especially with Dak and Zeke coming up on extensions. But I don't know. Fills a void. He's a good player, and he'll help on that defense. I mean, especially if Lawrence comes back, then he'll get single coverage. It's not like he's going to be getting double team blocked with Lawrence on the other side. So hopefully he can be productive for them.
For sure. If they can add to their defensive tackle room, I'd really like the defensive line a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on, shortly after we talked about the Oakland Raiders adding Vontaze Burfict, they added another linebacker and long-term Denver Broncos Brandon Marshall. I thought that was a great addition to their defense. They also added running back Isaiah Crowell from the Jets. Had a solid year with the Jets and an even more solid year. I almost said solider. Even solider year with the Browns the year before. I like the addition. I don't think Isaiah Crowell's washed like a lot of people. I'm a big fan of Crowell. I think he's often about him. But I think he'll be a good addition to this Oakland offense.
Yeah, I love both. I mean, with Brandon Marshall, you bring in a veteran linebacker who's won a championship. Like, he'll just be a leader in that locker room with all the egos they already have going around. And then Crowell, I'm not even sure if did they bring back Marshawn Lynch, or is he a free agent?
He's a free agent. I think he's also contemplating retirement.
Yeah, see, so I think Crowell, along with Jalen Richard, could be a dynamic duo. I mean, nothing crazy, but he's been able to be productive as a power back, so I could see him and then Richard out of the backfield making moves. I don't know, I like it. And they got both of them for pretty cheap. Like, I think,
for sure.
Like I was saying, I think Brandon Marshall signed for the minimum.
Really? That's a surprise.
I think it was like $2 million or something. It wasn't a lot at all.
That's a really good addition by the Oakland Raiders. They're also looking to work out former Indianapolis Colts Robert Turbin. I think that'd be another great addition to their running back room, obviously not going to make a ton of headlines. He's a pretty, I don't know, role player, I guess you could say. He's a pretty decent role player. I think he'd be a good addition as well, but nothing official on that end yet.
Yeah, man. He signed for $2.3 million. Brandon Marshall did.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Is it just for 1 year?
I believe so. Yes.
Solid, nice prove-it year. I honestly think that Brandon Marshall might end up being a Raider for a while after this year, especially if he has a decent year. I think John Gruden's going to like his play style.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of running backs, we had news today that former Rams running back, breakout playoff running back, actually, C.J. Anderson signs with the Detroit Lions.
I mean, that's a crowded backfield there in Detroit. Because don't they still have Blunt? Oh no, they cut Amir Abdullah, so I guess it's Blunt, Kerryon
Blunt's
Johnson.
a free agent, man. He's not coming back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a mistake on me. So I guess it's Kerryon Johnson who's injured, and now C.J. Anderson. So that could be a like I said with Oakland, a dynamic duo. Kerryon out the backfield, and then CJ running through the tackles if he can keep his weight under control, because I know he came into Carolina last year a little bit overweight and then reeled it in a little bit to go to the Rams, but I don't know. Hopefully. I hope for him. I always liked him.
Yeah, they've also got a few solid role players in the backfield as well. They re-signed Zenner, and they also have Kerwin Williams, who they signed a reserve future contract. So that's a pretty solid backfield so far.
Oh, okay.
Now, not lastly, because there was just news that we got a few minutes ago. The Cleveland Browns traded defensive end Emmanuel Agba to the Kansas City Chiefs for free safety Eric Murray. I like the moves on the Chiefs side. It's very evident that they're going for a secondary in their draft. But I like the move with the Browns. I think they're moving Olivier Vernon up to defensive end. And I think it's a pretty solid move overall. And they also fill that hole that Jabril Peppers left. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love having Vernon, like you said, as a D end instead of an outside linebacker. I just don't think he has the speed to play outside linebacker. So with the move, they can move him down and, like you said, fill a void where Jabril Peppers was. And Kansas City, I think, is definitely going to go heavy defense this draft. They might take another wide receiver, especially with everything that's going on with Tyreek Hill, but I could see them taking a lot of defensive players, especially in the secondary.
For sure, they're going to have to. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they are going to go heavy on defense and add a few wide receivers, because of the stuff going on with Hill, and they also lost a really good role player in Chris Conley to the Jacksonville Jaguars a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
So they've got some holes to fill, but mostly on the defensive end. And lastly, we just got news that Tremaine Brock just signed with the Arizona Cardinals. I thought that was a great signing. Obviously, they got him pretty cheap because they're this late in free agency. But the Cardinals kind of have a scary secondary if you look at it. I mean, they still have DJ Swearinger, I'm pretty sure. And they just signed, they obviously just signed Brock. They got Patrick Peterson. And they have Robert Alford, and Budda Baker. So I like what they're doing. I like Cliff Kingsbury's secondary.
And they also brought in Maurice Claiborne to work out with Tremaine Brock, so they might bring both of them on board. But yeah, I mean, Cliff's got a lot of backlash, especially from my co-host. But I think he's building something back there. I don't know. Are they going to take Murray? Like, they're running out of time to trade Rosen unless they plan on doing it draft night. But, I mean, reports have come in that they've gotten a few offers from, I think it was the Patriots, the Giants, and the Chargers. And the most that they got was a second-round pick for him. So, I don't know. I think they're trying to hold out for a first, but I don't know. I think the Giants make a move for him, but we can discuss that on our mock draft preview or whatever.
Hey, I mean, the first overall pick and then 2 second-rounders, that sounds pretty good to me. Because obviously they have their own, and then they'd be getting one for Rosen. So,
yeah, true.
I don't know. I like it. But lastly, I think the Browns also reported that Duke Johnson has now reported to team workouts in preparation for a trade. Where do you think Duke Johnson's going to be?
Dude, I literally got a notification probably 30 minutes ago from Bleacher Report that he has requested a trade. He went to the GM today and requested that he gets traded. So
I don't blame him. I mean, after the addition of Kareem Hunt and the breakout year of Nick Chubb, I mean, I don't see a lot of playing time for Duke Johnson there.
No, me neither. I'm wondering, though, like, where do you think would be a good fit for him?
I think it's a place that you and I have both been kind of calling for a running back change for a while. I think the Houston Texans would be a great spot. I think honestly, the Pittsburgh Steelers would also be a really good spot, but I don't think they'd trade him within the division. But
see, I was thinking.
Honestly, even the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking the Carolina Panthers have him back up Christian McCaffrey. I would love that if we gave up like a 6th, 7th round pick to get him, got him for cheap.
That'd be a good one.
I would love that because they're basically the same player. I mean, obviously Christian has a little bit more skill, but it wouldn't change the offense a lot to have him rotate in, give Christian a little bit of a break.
For sure. I also wouldn't be surprised if John Gruden jumped on that train as well.
True.
With the Raiders.
Or somehow he's going to end up being a Patriot and they're just going to run like 5 running backs a game. Each of them is going to have 6 carries. You know,
I'm going to veto that one.
Or just put him at wide receiver, let Tom Brady throw to him out of the slot. No, you don't like that one?
Yeah, I'll pass on that one. I'll happily let him go to Carolina.
True.
I think that'd be a good addition for you guys.
Yeah.
I think that's it for league news. I think we can jump over to March Madness.
Well, one thing I will say that I just saw, or I don't know, while we're still talking about football, do you want to tell our listeners the exciting news about both of us?
Are you talking about the Fox Sports poll?
No, I was talking about our job opportunity.
Oh, yeah, sure. I completely forgot about that.
We can plug a little cheap plug in there.
Yeah. Well, both of us have just accepted reporting jobs to cover our respective teams. I'm with the Bills, and Alex is with the Panthers for Unfiltered Sports Network. So give us a follow on our personal accounts, and we'll be giving you guys some team news. It'll be awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
We'll be tweeting out whenever we write articles, or y'all can just check the website. One day we're hoping to maybe get the podcast put on the website. Who knows? That's something me and Ryan need to talk about. But last little bit of news before we get off of the football. I actually just saw on Bleacher Report that the Panthers are taking a longer look at Charlotte native Will Grier at quarterback to potentially back up Cam Newton.
I like that move a lot, especially since you guys missed out on Tyrod Taylor in free agency.
Honestly,
I think that would be a great addition.
He definitely needs a lot of work, but I would not hate that at all as a backup, especially if we could get him in like the 3rd or the 4th. I wouldn't hate it at all.
For sure. He had a pretty rough combine, but I heard he made it up with the pro day.
Yeah.
He didn't really impress me at the combine. He missed a lot of throws, and
but I mean,
didn't get a good vibe from him. But pro day seemed solid.
Here's the real question: who really does bad at their pro day? Like, I don't think anybody's ever done bad at their pro day. But maybe they have.
That's true. I mean, but I'm telling you, man, his combine, some of those moments were just ugly. But I mean, we've also got to take into consideration the nerves that goes into that. I'm sure he was nervous as hell. But all
right, well,
I think he'll be a solid quarterback.
With that being said, I guess we can switch sports a little bit and head on over to the March Madness that's been going on. So Thursday and Friday we had the Sweet 16 matchups. I know Ryan's happy. I'm a little sad, but in the first game of the day we had Florida State defeat Gonzaga 72-58. Gonzaga just kind of bullied them. It was kind of over from the start. That's pretty much all I have for that one.
By that one. I had Florida State winning that game. I thought that they were going to – they've been playing super well lately. They went to the ACC championship game. Unfortunately, got defeated by Duke, but I think they were playing really well, so I had them beating the Zags.
Oh, me too,
dude. They didn't pull through. Gonzaga was able to beat up on them. Like you
I
said.
had them beating Gonzaga too, but next game was Texas Tech defeated Michigan 63-44. Man, I know you're a
That was
Virginia.
ugly to watch.
It was such a defensive battle. It was literally like the definition of a boring March Madness game, which is hard to find, but it was just Texas Tech plays such slow defensive battle, and so does Michigan, and just lack of scoring.
Texas Tech was definitely a sleeper. They've been playing really well in the tournament, and I like the way they've been playing. I think they're going to do well moving forward.
Yeah. So the next game's kind of a wash. Michigan State beat LSU 80-63. It was sort of a beatdown from the beginning. LSU really had no answer for Michigan State. They just looked outclassed.
It's what we all expected, honestly.
Yep. This next one broke my heart as a Carolina fan, but Duke survived against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech maybe had the easiest layup of all time to send that game to the overtime. Beautiful drawn-up play, and he missed it. So Duke survived there.
That was their second lucky game in a row, and now it looks like Virginia Tech might lose Buzz Williams.
Yeah, man, he got offered. It was a lot, like $3 million a year or something to go to Texas A&M. Yeah, something crazy. And then, which I wouldn't be surprised at all if he left. That's a lot of money, especially for a college coach.
Well, he's a Texas native too, so.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Lots of attractiveness there. Yeah,
he's gone. All right. The worst game of the weekend, Carolina loses to Auburn 97-80. The only thing I'm going to say is that I'm very sad, and that my excuse is that the Carolina Tar Heels, they all had the flu, which they actually did. Like 4 of them had the flu, but they just got outshot, and it was bad. It was a blowout. Me as a Carolina fan, I'm very sad. But, win some, you lose some.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't a 16 seed. That's what I have to say.
Oh, could have been worse. I mean, we made it to the Sweet 16. So,
yeah. You'll definitely be back next year. So, but I think your rookie, not your rookie, excuse me, your freshman just declared for the draft.
Both of them?
Just Nasir.
Oh, well, I knew Little was going. Kobe White's the one I want to stay, but I think he's gone too because he made his draft stock. He was not even supposed to get drafted, and then the last mock draft I saw, he was going number 10 overall. But
wow.
I will say Cole Anthony, who is the number 1 high school guard in the country, just narrowed down his top 4. It was yesterday, and it was Carolina, Notre Dame, and 2 other schools. But a lot of people think he's going to Carolina. He's the number 1 point guard and coming out of high school, which makes my heart happy.
Solid pickup for you guys.
Yeah, man. Especially if we lose Kobe White. But that's enough about Carolina. We don't want to turn this into Carolina podcast. Houston loses to Kentucky 62-58. That was a close one. I really thought Houston was going to be able to pull it out, but PJ Washington and Kentucky, I don't know, they looked good. They played good defense. That was sort of another defensive battle.
Yeah, Houston has had a solid year, and I'm really proud of how far they came. Obviously, Kentucky's a great opponent, and I mean, there wasn't much they could do about that. They played their heart out, and hopefully we'll see them in the tournament next year.
Oh, I think they'll definitely be back. They play in one of those conferences where they pretty much dominate.
Yeah, you're right.
On to what I would consider one of the best games of this tournament, if not the best game. It's Purdue 99, Tennessee 94. And I was in awe watching this game. I know I was live tweeting it, and I was like freaking out because Purdue, their point guard, I cannot think of his name. I want to say his last name's Edwards. Hang on.
Carson Edwards.
Yes, Carson Edwards had 29, and then what's his name? Klein had 27 for them, and both of them were making the most ridiculous three-pointers in the world. Some would say Purdue escaped because they got that late foul call that kind of was a foul, kind of wasn't a foul, that sent it to overtime. Or not overtime. Did it go to overtime? Yeah, sent it to overtime because Purdue won in overtime.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that one?
I thought that was one of the greatest games up to date until I saw Saturday's game, but we'll get there. I thought it was a great game. Tennessee fought so hard to get back in it. It was a heartbreaker. But yeah, there was no stopping Klein and Carson Edwards. They were on a roll. I mean, they took care of business.
Oh yeah.
But that foul call was kind of cushy, but I could see where they saw it was a foul. So
yeah,
I'm not gonna argue
it could have.
Just getting hyped, man.
I guess so. I think I accidentally hit the space bar on my computer. Last game of the Sweet 16 would be the nail biter that was Virginia versus Oregon. Virginia won 53-49, and I know Ryan was basically having a heart attack all night.
Oh yeah, I was sweating super hardcore. It was a tough one. Oregon played us exactly how I thought they were, and it was hard. They killed it. If I was an Oregon fan, I would be super proud of the way my team played. They stuck with UVA's defense up until the very end. I think UVA pulled ahead a little bit in the second half, but they pulled right back. Oregon played super well, just like I knew they would. It was a very good game.
Yeah, man. For them to go on that roll just to get into the tournament and then just stay hot like that, I really thought they might pull it out. But lucky for you, Virginia moves on to the Elite Eight, where in the first matchup, Texas Tech played Gonzaga. Texas Tech wins 75-69. Kind of a defensive battle. Then again, Texas Tech, they're like third in the nation in defense, and they have Culliver. That's his name, right? Yeah, Culliver, who had 19. I mean, all three of their guards played good. Culliver had 19, Moody had 17, and Moret had 12. And they beat them. I don't really have a lot to say about that one.
Honestly, from a guy whose team is in the Final Four, I do not want to play Texas Tech in that championship if we get that far. I don't want to see them. Although the UVA defense versus the Texas Tech defense would be a sight to see, but that's honestly the team that scares me the most at this point.
A lot of people would say that would be a boring matchup, but I think that would be a thrilling matchup because I know it would come down to the end. Neither one of those teams is going to pull away, so it'd be a nail biter all the way to the end.
Oh yeah, in a game like that, every point, whether it's a foul shot or whether it's a three-pointer, every point matters. So that would definitely be super suspenseful for me.
Without a doubt. So in the next game, Michigan State defeats Duke 68-67. Duke did not survive, so it's no more Zion Williamson.
Their luck ran out, man.
It did, man.
I think that was another great game. If you're talking about some of the greatest games of this tournament, that's got to be one of them. Honestly, all the Duke games, except for the first game, all the UCF, the Tech game, the Michigan State game, they all came down to the wire, and I really enjoyed watching them. But, yeah, R.J. Barrett really botched that free throw. Both of them, actually, because he tried to miss the second one, and he made it.
I mean, all in all, like I tweeted, Duke wasn't making it around the 32. I was almost right about that one. You just can't win a championship with no three-point shooting. And Duke ranks like 311th in the country in three-pointers. So, I mean, I don't know. Just proving more and more that the one-and-done method might not be the way to go in college basketball, especially with this next game where Auburn defeats Kentucky 77-71, another one-and-done team in Kentucky, where it looks like the one-and-done strategy might not be the way to go. Might be build a team, a little bit of youth, a little bit of age. I don't know. What do you think?
I love that. I love the death of the one-and-done strategy. I hate it. I hate it so much. I am so here for. That's why I love UVA, because we rarely have someone that declares. I think the last person to declare was in 2015 when Justin Anderson skipped his senior year to go pro. And honestly, that's why he's one of the least productive of the UVA products in the NBA. Players like Malcolm Brogdon and Joe Harris, who actually stayed there all 4 years, they're much more productive than Anderson is right now.
Yeah, man. Like I've always said, Carolina, they do a good mix of young and old. Like, I know we had 3 seniors in our starting lineup and then 2 freshmen. So I think the teams that try and mix it up, like UVA, like North Carolina, like Michigan State, they're normally the ones who you find in your Final Four. Which I like it. I like it a lot. And I think the death of the one and done will be solidified with the new rule changes in the NBA where you can declare at 18. They're reverting back to what they were. But with that being said, the final game, Purdue, Virginia, another ridiculously insane game, which I got scared there for a second there, Ryan. I didn't think y'all were going to make it out. I thought it was over.
Oh, no, me neither. My head was in my hands. I was close to tears because we had played so well, and it seemed all to be over with down 3, 16 seconds left, and then they fouled Ty Jerome, and he nailed that first shot and missed the second one on purpose, and it's all history after that. I went nuts when Keith hit that shot.
Man, speaking of Carson Edwards, we got to give it up to him. He had
for sure
42 points. No one else on Purdue scored over 7. Like, way to step up. It reminds me of Kemba Walker 10 years ago with UConn, where he just carried his team. And I think he probably honestly played him. If he goes to the draft, he probably played himself into at least getting looked at a late first round, early second round.
For sure. I mean, he's a sharpshooter, man. Like, he just got hot. Like, we were playing great defense, and we still couldn't defend him.
He was literally taking insane shots. It was like Steph Curry was out there. He was taking 38-foot threes. It was insane. But,
the only reason we were able to stay in that game is because Kyle Guy finally woke up. So far in this tournament, he's our best three-point shooter. He set the ACC the ACC record for best 3 percentage in a season. So he's clearly a great three-point shooter, but he's shot 3 from 26 from 3 in the first 3 tournament games, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But he hit, I think he hit 5 or 6 clutch ones in this win. It was definitely a good time to wake up, if you ask me.
Yeah, and you could just see the emotion on just the whole team as they were cutting down the nets. They all just were so excited seeing what happened last year, and now they made it to the Final Four.
For sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was agreeing with you. The emotion was crazy. Seeing Tony Bennett's face just made my day.
Oh, yeah, man. He was so happy. That's going to be a famous picture, especially if you guys can get it done. Speaking of that, the Final Four matchups, Texas Tech versus Michigan State. UVA versus Auburn starts on Saturday. All right, man. What are you looking at? What's your championship prediction?
I got.
It's okay.
I'm saying Michigan State, Auburn.
Come on. I see Ryan's one of these people. He's just going to vote against his own team because he doesn't want to jinx it, which I respect it. But, no, I don't think...
No, I mean, Auburn's a great Cinderella story. They've been fire. I knew that I had them in my bracket going far because I saw how they just easily handled Tennessee in that SEC championship game. I mean, Tennessee had been one of the top-ranked teams all season long, and they beat them by 20 in the championship game. So, I mean, they're playing super well, and I don't know if we can stop them. And you're right, I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, I was about to say. All right, so my matchup, I have Texas Tech versus Virginia, and I have...
Exact opposite.
It's going to hurt you, Ryan, but I have Texas Tech winning the championship.
That's all good, man. I mean,
although,
our track record isn't the best.
For you, I'm going to cheer for Virginia for the rest of the tournament.
I appreciate it, buddy.
But... Oh, shout out to your fiance, Angela. Is that correct that her bracket is in the 99th percentile?
Yeah, her bracket is 99% correct. She's got a few mistakes, but she got 3 of the Final 4.
What's the one that she didn't have?
She had you guys in the Final 4.
Oh, okay, so she had Virginia, North Carolina, Texas Tech, and Michigan State?
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Insane. Yeah, I saw that.
I think of that in the Virginia block and I think in every block except yours, honestly. She had almost everything correct. It was insane.
Man, shout out to her. But yeah, that's about all I have for this episode. Next week we might have some draft stuff for you guys.
Yeah, we'll get the Hold the Phone mock draft 1.0. It's going to be really fun. We'll come with better research than we did last time.
Definitely.
last time was kind of sloppy, but
other than that, that's about all we got, guys. I hope y'all have. I know we're coming to you on a Monday, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you guys later.